So, welcome back to today's class. And I think it's been a while since we met because of the new week. Today, we're fortunate to have one of the key industry players actually join us. As I mentioned to you earlier, I was going to bring a number of key industry players to actually have a conversation with us, on the sector, the way we actually match up, or how Ghana's tourism actually fuse into the broader playing field. For example, the West African market, the entire African market. Of course, our position within the global, the global what do you call it, tourism and hospitality industry. Now we are lucky to have one of the key players whom you know, uh, who's actually a Ghanaian, but he represents the UNWTO in terms of tourism and tourism communication in Africa, especially West African area. He manages, the leading, communication, magazine for tourism, which is Voyage Afrique. Of course, I would, let him do the introduction properly. I think that would be much better because I haven't actually gotten the details, of your status, etc. So I think it would be good.
Oh, that's all right.
when you do the introduction. And some of you might have actually seen him, especially those of you who are social media, Twitter. He does a lot of communication for UNWTO and most of the African tourism areas, the NTAs. So without much ado, I would invite Kojo Benton Williams to come in to introduce himself. Obviously, then later on the conversation can set up. So today we'll relax on the slides a little bit and have a conversation generally about the HNT, the hospitality and tourism industry, in Africa, in Ghana, and of course in West Africa. All right, Kojo, so that's the hospitality and tourism class. It's a sandwich MSc, class. Fantastic class. A lot of discussions, we have. It's a small class, so we're able to manage the conversation in an
More intimate.
So I will bring you in to introduce yourself, and then we can start the conversation.
Hello, good evening. Thanks again, Kobe. And my name is, like you said, my name is Kojo Benton Williams, and I am a publisher of Voyage Afrique Travel Magazine. And also my second role, as he mentioned, is with the World Tourism Organization based in Madrid. And what I do there is I do communication for Africa and push the agenda of the Secretary General and the UN WTO. So that's basically what I do. And above all, I try to call myself, I don't want to use the word purist, but I think I'm very much in love with tourism, all aspects of it. So on the field, I've been on the field reporting and writing about the industry. So that's essentially what I do for now. And yeah,
Excellent.
Good evening once again.
Yeah, great. So guys,
you are welcome.
Yeah, excellent. So guys, it will be more conversational. I will try and bring in certain questions for him to address. And then also, if you guys have some questions, you can address to him. All right. And then, of course, key is that I want him to actually give us the overview of how Ghana is doing. What are some of the opportunities within the industry? Because I know some of you would want to, plug in. Obviously, there are some who are already there, Kwame and etc. What are some of the things that we must do to enhance the Ghanaian hospitality and tourism sector, in order that we can actually catch up with Kenyans, with the Rwandans, especially they're coming up strongly, and with South Africans. And generally the feel of it, the way forward post-COVID, what do we expect? What must we expect, etc. So I think that's how generally the conversation will roll. And as I said, guys, have questions, you can throw at him, just as we do. You don't have to wait. If you want to have a question posed or a contribution, you can lift up your hands or you can draw his attention or my attention, and then you can actually have the opportunity. All right. So I hope we're set. Patricia, should we go, or we're waiting for someone, or we're not?
No, Doctor, we are okay. We can go.
Okay, we can roll out. Okay. So Koyo, the ball is in your court.
Oh, thanks, Kobe. Thanks once again. So from the global scale, I mean, from what's happening right now in terms of tourism, the UN Tourism Agency predicts from April, and with our data that we had, 80% for our member states, we realize that the industry right now may plunge to about 60 to 80% in terms of losses. So we're looking at how the sector is battered, and obviously is one of the sector, if not the most affected sector in this COVID. So we were projecting that we're going to grow 5% in terms of global percentages. And for Africa, we've been growing in 4-5%, but for last year we had 5.6% in terms of growth, which culminated into 67 million international tourism to Africa. Now, if you look at the global trade, Africa has not taken advantage of what we have, or we've not marketed enough. And some of the challenges that I believe most of you know is obviously interconnectivity, visa issues, connecting Africa by Africans, and a whole lot. So if you look at that perspective, we've not taken advantage of the continent and then promoted intra-African travels, unlike in Europe, in the Schengen zone. So Africa specifically, and if you speak to the members, if I say the member state, these are the countries that are signed on as members of the World Tourism Organization. And as of now, we have 52 countries that are members of the World Tourism Organization from Africa. So if you take a look at the helicopter view of the sector, tourism in the sector, and as we call it, people-to-people sector, it gives a lot of opportunities. And also, there's a lot of leakage in the sector. So, for example, typically, if someone travels to Ghana or goes to Dubai or something, and then he or she makes purchases and all of that, sometimes in terms of the measurement, it's not captured as tourism. But as tourism evolved, we realized that it wasn't, because people saw travel and tourism primarily as leisure. Of course, if you look, if you go back to the days of Grand Tour days, tourism was seen as a leisure, but it has evolved to now a business. So we have the mine sector, we have F&B, we have entertainment, we have lodges, and then we have the OTAs and also the media. So what I'll say is that, the sector has a lot of promise. Unfortunately, infrastructure, and because tourism as a component is the end result. So if something is not right from aviation, from infrastructure, you cannot achieve your end result in terms of promoting people to the destination. And we've seen that if you look at Africa, West Africa hasn't been doing so well. And West Africa's market of the share has been inbound. And so that's why if you read a lot of narrative and interviews that have been granted, you realize that we are saying that the industry right now will start from domestic to regional to international, because we see that it will take up to 3 to 4 years, and in fact, from 2 to 5 years for us to come back to 2019 level. So we are really battered. But again, it has proven over the years that tourism is also, apart from the fact that it's very fragile, the contracts that is very resilient. And if you look at the economic and the financial crunch in 2008 and the September 11th, you've seen that it has bounced back quicker than other sectors. So it's not all doom and gloom, but again, if you don't put the structures well, you may be seen to be promoting tourism in terms of having people come to your country, but there are always leakages. Again, if you go back to 2018 and we launched what we call 1 billion problems, 1 million problems, 1 billion opportunities in the sector. What it tells you is that it always gives a lot of opportunity for us to plug in. And Africa is a new thing. I mean, we're not just saying because it's Africa rising, but if you go to East Africa, South Africa, North Africa, West Africa, there's a lot of problems. People are not able, even for the OTAs, people are still struggling to see how they can be able to scale up. So COVID has taught us that we can be able to ensure that we grow back better. And if you say grow back better, we realize that there's a lot of also disparity and inclusion. We are missing inclusion, disparity, and then still not helping people to grow. And some of the criticism that, especially in the hotel subsector, that has bedeviled not just only Ghana, but in Africa, is the fact that we still don't seem not to have the capacity, even though I disagree, because sometimes you bring people, the Muzungus, back here to come to be maybe general managers in, whatever capacity, but you realize that people are not given the opportunity. So most people, when they get to, say, for example, senior managers or directors or something, they cannot climb unless they are elevated to the general, the position of general manager or any other senior position in their respective organizations. So what I would say is that the industry, it promises a lot of opportunity for us, especially for Africa also, that our tourism is rural based in terms of the leisure side. But we know right now that mines, I believe everybody knows mines, meetings, incentives, conferences, exhibitions. It's now a huge, what in South Africa they call the business event sector. And what it means is that if you bring, and the last statistics that was done, if you bring an event into your country, you have an average spend per day of a delegate, $320. Okay, so you realize that we move from just saying going to holiday, which is good to go for holiday, but in terms of the receipt that we get, the mine sector is beginning to take shape. And if you bring mines, you're looking at the same thing, looking at the supply chain. So you have the hotels, you have the transport, the tour operators, the entertainment, economy, creative economy, which we've not taken advantage of because people still believe that it's just, going somewhere to have a drink or something. But if you have a coordinated, well-defined supply chain, you're able to put together a service that meets the new traveler. So if I look at tourism in Africa, I think that we have, and because we've not put down the basic infrastructure, sometimes we look at even for data collection. Yes, sir, please go ahead. Yes.
Sorry for interrupting. Please,
can
you be slow with your acronyms a bit? We're still new.
Okay.
So
sorry. No, I'm sorry. Okay.
So with your acronyms, if you can be slow with them so that we can quickly put them down.
Like the OTA, you mean?
No, the mimes, for instance, he read.
Yeah.
I wanted to get it. He says,
okay,
so it's
conferences and events.
Okay. Yes, events or exhibitions. Yeah, that's what it is. But no, thank you very much for drawing my attention. So if you look at that space, you realize that mines is a strong space, and countries, and we've seen over and over again, people have to position themselves. And that's where you have the NTAs to have to decide whether you want to be a leisure destination, you want to be mass tourism destination, etc. Now, people on the front end normally do not see what we are talking about. For example, that people see people coming to your destination. It doesn't necessarily translate into the economy when you have things that are not sorted out right. And so you have a country like Rwanda, and I don't know any of you if you know what Rwanda or what they position themselves to stand for. But the key thing for them in the tourism field is gorilla. Okay, now you pay $1,500 one person to see the gorilla. I mean, to have the permit to go for the trekking. Okay, now they elevated themselves because it's a small country, and first of all, they don't want to open up too much for mass tourism. So when you do that, pricing and the product in itself is one of the things. Now, they have some hotels that is charging as much as $1,000 a night. And that's what we call in the tourism space high end. So people put in a lot of resources, putting the things that the big traveler will need and the soft scale traveler will need, and then they charge very well. They use chartered flights. You can have they have a helipad at the national parks. So they position themselves like that, and then they realize that if you look at just leisure, it is not sustainable like that, because right now you can see that they are taking a big hit. So they graduated and positioned themselves as a mine center. So as a mine center, what they did was that they went a big scale. They invested a lot of money into it. And I believe you guys saw that they've signed a deal with Arsenal and PSG. Mm-hmm. People criticize it. I went there personally. I spoke to the MD of the Rwanda Development Board. Yes, and they give the numbers. And when they show the numbers to you, you realize that, yes, it's something that they've thought about, and they have their data. The data set was good. So they positioned themselves like that. So I realized that all conferences that you hear about in Africa, sometimes apart from South Africa, which I'm really a big boy, is going to Rwanda. And it was deliberate. And so the government also realized that there was even that one that they thought that they were doing something good. There was a problem in terms of the local inclusion. Mm-hmm. So people are there, and the government ensure that before you can put in a resort, because they have a resort of 10 people, 15 people, etc., you have to have invested some amount of money in the area and all of that, so that you don't live there, you don't have a leakage. Okay, that you have the money paid in somebody in TUI in England, and then you come there and just spend and just leave garbage there and go. So they put in different mechanisms, and the first key thing is that it was from the high level, i.e. the president. Mm-hmm. And so you have the commitment, you have a lot of
willpower.
Capital, exactly, the willpower, and the fact that tourism is capital intensive in terms of the ATA point of view. I mean, i.e. the NTA point of view, the country, the country point of view. So Ghana, let me just bring it back to Ghana. And we had for me, I used to work with the Ghana Tourism Board 5 years ago. And this was one of the best campaigns in recent history of return. It was good to bring them here. And Ghana became a place that, if you talk about diaspora, I mean, for a long time, we knew that our strength as a tourism destination was in cultural and heritage, okay? We were not too much leisure place, but then when people come, you don't say that you're not a leisure place, so you don't develop the other side. So when they come, then they can be able to have the other activities that rounds up their trip. So when we had this year of return, and I know that you've had issues about the statistics and data, and I think it goes to buttress the point that we don't have a good data set and everybody's throwing different data out there. But what we realized was that people came in, but we've still not measured exactly what was the spend, what was the age bracket and all of that. And they came for pilgrimage as well. And the entertainment economy has not been measured. So we still have some few gaps there. Now, we were supposed to have the beyond the return, which unfortunately we had COVID. But looking at the Ghana, also specifically, we are expensive destination. Not expensive because we want to be expensive. We are expensive because things that is first of all, your big market is the US. And for the US, we are a long haul destination. So normally we have the regional short haul or medium, and then we have the long haul. So when we are dealing with the Americas, it's a long haul destination. And for people to make a decision to come here, people are they are competing demands. And to go to Kenya, they are doing a lot much more that you may want to fly to Kenya, even though it's extremely a long destination. So what I'm just trying to say is that in terms of the positioning, other countries are doing well. I believe people have heard about Seychelles Island. The Seychelles that I've had the privilege of working for them also, they strictly are going high end. So there were a time in 2014 when we had a carnival there, they had to return 777-300 flights back to Abu Dhabi because the country is, as of now, 101,000 people, about 100,000 people. And it's an archipelago island. So realize that you are dealing with nature. So you have to also position yourself. So if you go to Seychelles, you are going, it's like, now they say it's a paradise kind of experience because it's once in a lifetime and you spend much more. So they've positioned themselves and they are for high-end market. Now we had COVID because they don't have domestic tourism. And if you've read or listened to a lot of webinars, you might have heard people saying that we will start from domestic to domestic, regional, and international. Look, there are countries that they don't have domestic tourism, for sure. We have it in name, but not in practice. So if you ask the CEO of the Ghana Tourism Board, he's going to tell you that, okay, you can go to Kakum National Park or that. Okay, now let's come to Ground Zero. For example, it's not you or me or someone who is having the luxury of driving there. If you want to take a trip and you look at all the things, the supply chain, you have to start beginning to go catch a bus or coach or something to go, and the service that you get there, you realize that it's not, if you compare what you are putting in, you're better off to say, taking a flight to go to, for example, Kenya or South Africa or something, or Cape Verde. So people are beginning to say, okay, how do we then develop our domestic tourism? Because domestic tourism ultimately will be your backbone. If you don't have domestic tourism, people can take different strategy. But remember that all the things that we do, our hotels, Ghana's market that we are having now is that 80%, in fact, 85% of our market is inbound. So it tells you that when you have the borders locked, they are finished. And then the domestic market cannot shore up because this also, a forex exchange. And sometimes I believe that you have the occasion to complain that the hotels are expensive, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure, especially in Ghana.
Sure. See, that's the thing. It sounds very expensive, and sometimes it's not just expensive, because remember that if something is expensive, people would like to pay, but the service too is not commensurating this kind of money. Sorry, please, you want to come in?
So I was going to ask whether we could term ourselves high end, because for us, I stand to be corrected. We don't have a lot of tourist sites. So, and some of these tourist sites are very well in the rural area. So how do we put ourselves at high end?
Okay, so first of all, to classify yourself as a high end, you have to put a lot of measures, infrastructure in place to say you are high end. Second of all, you have to realize that if we decide that we have to be conscious of which kind of product that we are putting across, because also urban tourism has grown exponentially. Okay, so people come to conference, no need to go to Cape Coast Castle, and in fact, it has proven that people who are coming for conferencing, they finish Accra, they want to go nightclub, something like that, and then fly back straight there. So if you look at your different market and your data to say that, okay, I'm Ghana, I want to position myself as this, you don't become high-end by default of your, or ineptitude, something like that. Sorry to use the word, but what you cannot do, that people have to pay more, but deliberate. So you realize that you come to a hotel. Look, if you go to Kimpiski, it's not Kimpiski Hotel here, Gold Coast City, is not a big fuss compared to Saraba Hotel in Nairobi. Okay? You can get there in Nairobi for $180, $170, $150. Right? But even that same hotel, they're putting specific things that ensure that it's catering for that. So they have different offerings. It's not just the hotel, but you can do a lot of stuff within the destination. So if we develop the attraction, it's fine. But tourism, again, has moved from just the product, but it's experience-based. So people would like to arrive, go there, but also to be able to have value for money, more value for money. That how do you then drive to Kakum National Park? Just to go and walk on the train. And our packages in terms of having a safari itself there or having a nature trail is not available. So you have to ask yourself that we are living in a very economically harsh world now, and there's a lot of competing demands. So people may want to come for, and when people come for conferences, if it's not organized by government, and our experience at the UNWTO has shown us that look, when we organize events, we choose one day for what we call a social visit, and we visit other attractions. Even the country is paying for some of them who will leave the next day or they want to stay in Accra. So conference delegation is different. But if you develop your attractions, it then becomes the of your tourism. So domestic people can appreciate it. And then you can, by extension, try and bring people in. Because when the people came for Year of Return, I was not in Ghana, and a lot of time I'm not in Ghana, but a lot of things I read is people went to, I think the very famous thing that people even told me when we were in Madrid was Afrochella, some other event, and etc. And people went to Cape Coast Castle and came back. But if you come, you cannot fly from California to Accra, do Cape Coast Castle. So the product is limited, but you are spending money. And when people think that they have an option that they can go to, and remember, first of all, entry to Ghana is also very ridiculously expensive. Okay, to have visa on arrival $150 is so much expensive. So a lot of things is putting us in the position that we are not, like we say, we are not competitive in terms of that. But if you are an operator or you're a business person, you can take a lot of the advantage of the situation because there are people coming in. The good thing is that there's a demand. Who coming? So if you want to put, a chick service, a boutique, something like that, for a specific type of people, there's always the opportunity. Okay, but the industry in Ghana hasn't grown in terms of the tourism sector. We maybe have the numbers going up, but if you go deep in and you see what's happening, you realize that some people are owning hotels because of the fact that they have the money to owe. And the training, the human resource base is not available. And people haven't formalized it to the extent. Still, people believe that if you say tourism, it's just entertainment and, entertainment and leisure. Yeah, exactly. So I think that it offers a lot of opportunity that as practitioners that will be able to go in we would like to explore, but best practices from East Africa, Southern Africa, the Indian Ocean, and some part of West Africa, even Cabo Verde, like Ireland, you see. What they've done is that they've put a lot of things that will make you competitive. So if you go externally, then you realize that we do what we call road shows. So road shows, you have the big shows that we have in the world of tourism that you can have. So you start with the World Travel Market in London, happens every year. You go to IATB in Berlin, Germany. You go to FITU in Madrid. You go to IBTM. You go to different market. Now, if you go to this market, also, you are going to this market as a country promoting yourself, but you choose because of your dynamics of your numbers. So if I go to Europe or go to the UK, I may predominantly be looking at this market. But if I go to the New York Travel Show, even though it's also a global, and just to mention, all these travel markets are global marketplace that people come, exhibit, show what their country has to offer. But if you go targeted, and you go, for example, the New York show, or you go to IMEX in the US or China, then you go there with a certain focus because you act also as an interface. So the tourism board in this particular instance, I'm talking about, they will have a tour operators, hotels, and other supply chain people who then go with them. And then they are able to speak to the travel trade. That's what we call them. So you go to the world travel market, you meet people, and then you're able to engage to see the kind of market that their people are looking for. Or because look, people will go there and you have to go and lobby. They are bringing conference, and if you don't have the government power, all the conferences will be going to Kenya, South Africa, because they are not paying to them here, but they are putting a lot of measures, going for big shows and appearing at places, but also ensuring that they have the capacity. Because there's no point if you go and bring a show and then your PCOs, PCOs, okay. PCO is professional conference organizers for mines. So these people are specially trained, or they've gained some skills that helps them to be able to manage conferences well. So you don't typically. Yes, sir.
Sorry. So let's say, for example, Mercedes, the kind of thing that you do, you could actually take on board training in PCO to sort of be a conference organizer. So you are as a conference organizer, you're bringing in other, what you call service providers, like those who do the, what you call the grains, those who actually do the staging, those who actually do the. So you coordinate the entire, program, and then you liaise with the organization that is actually, bringing that conference in. So you are sort of the foot soldier or the ground person responsible for putting that conference together, arranging the accommodations, looking at the flights, all those things. Yeah. Yeah, go on, Koja.
No, so as Dr. Cobbins had mentioned, these are the people, the PCO, sometimes, because even before you bid for event, you are required to bring the profile of the PCO, because they have to be sure that the PCO has the competencies. And because here in Ghana, because it's always easy to use, and in Ghana and some other African countries, when you have events coming here, of course, we know that security, but not, what's the name? National protocol, something they pick it. They can pick from the government point of view, but sometimes they have no expertise to understand some of the rudiments in the industry. But just by the fact that it's a government function, people arrogate to themselves. So you see a lot of incompetencies and lack of professionalism in that area.
But do we have registered PCOs in Ghana, qualified PCOs?
Okay, so first of all, because we don't, in mentioning, we have the thing, the convention bureau that they try to have under Mr. Jiman's office by Pajon, but it's not well established. Mm-hmm. The convention bureau is the main conventions center that drives, so that becomes the national body. Then it can bring all the event venues, organizers, service players, and all of that. So they would have properly trained PCOs who are part of the government delegation sometimes, but they go for these big shows to attract businesses, and they have the capacity. But we don't have people are doing wedding and everything. It's fine. These are their special capacity. But when you come to the business event field, that you bring, say, 500 people down, sometimes people will deliver, but there are things that you are still lacking. So if you have that PCO, so it helps you to be able to build their capacity and let them understand how they can attract this business. But we don't.
So let me ask you, before you continue, what's the route to becoming a qualified PCO that is recognized by UNWTO, for example? So let's say Bless, for example, from this class, after this program, she wants to pursue that to become a recognized CPO, a PCO, sorry, a certified one. What are some of the routes to that particular, destination?
Okay, so if you look at the UNWTO, of course, the UNWTO is a UN agency responsible for the promotion of sustainable and responsible tourism. So we are the UN agency, but the UNWTO work with agencies because tourism have many agencies, so they have with partners. So ICA, if I may, ICA is the International Congress and Convention Association. So ICA kind of measures and benchmarks few things, and they are, how do I put it? They are the
sort of the regulator
kind of thing. We don't have a cast in stone regulator, but they help you. They are the benchmark that we look to. Yeah. So for you to become a PCO, the good thing is that you don't necessarily have to enroll in formals, like there's a block course that you have to take. But once you build your capacity in some of the courses that they do, and also they hold master classes. These days, these are master classes. It inadvertently opens you up to the rudiments of the sector. Because remember that apart from we using the big language like PCO and all the jargons, people are organizing events already.
That's correct.
You see? So now they are only going to benchmark to ensure that they have that become part of the system and going according to how it's done around the world.
Yeah.
And then because ICA is a world body specialized for conferences and associations, you are able to learn and leverage on some of the things that they do. So you can actually go online, you see like what Kwachidonko has been doing.
Yeah.
They have the master classes that you can pick, and then once you get a network, because tourism again is not just about the synergy of the infrastructure, but the network itself is the core.
Yeah.
That is your trump card for tourism. So when you have that, you are able to get people from the linkages has to be there for you to be able to succeed with that. Yeah. So that's my answer to that question.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah. So you can continue where we start.
So it has now. I wanted to touch on the point of the opportunities. Not really opportunities. I think people know that, but also the main fulcrum of the sector. Before, you had accommodation, F&B, food and beverage. You had transport. You had the online and other services forming the strong rock of the sector. But things that have evolved.
Question.
So realize.
Question, please.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so when you have a very probably a weak domestic tourism, how does online travel agency what role do they play?
Okay, so online travel agency is just one of your marketing platforms or marketing tools that you use to be able to enhance and promote your business. So it's if you have the online platform, say any OTAs, what they do is that they are giving you market access. So if let's say you are the operator, okay, what they do is that they provide you the right market for people to see what you have, and then they can promote it. Because all comes down to the operator. That's why if you look at Expedia, if you look at the Booking and other of the guys, what they've now introduced is that they want to try and bring in some training for their partners. But ultimately, everything solely rely on you. You the operator. Now, there's a discussion of how people are even paying a lot of money for OTAs. Now, some of the OTAs, even before you execute, they've taken their profit already.
Sure.
So there's a conversation ongoing now about how people can be able to build the capacity of their individual companies or even their own scale to be able to use cross platforms to put their product out there. Because if hotels are being charged or the OTAs are taking, and the OTAs are taking a chunk of their money. So what people are doing now is the fact that they want to invest in their own systems to be able to push and market their product. The OTAs can help you. They won't do magic, but ultimately
Sir,
the reviews. Yes, sir.
I'll give you an example. Let me just share a small experience. The reason why I think that in the long term they're not going to survive in Ghana, especially with our small market. See, when they take a business or they give you business. For instance, you have about 100 people. Let's take it 20 people checking into your hotel. They book for you, and they pay you at the end of the month. So today is the 5th of July. Now, when I have 20 people check in via Expedia or Booking.com or Airbnb, I will not make my money now. I'm a small company, I'm a small hotel, or probably even I'm not a small hotel in the midst of this pandemic. If the people check in, I have a lot of, what's it called? I have a lot of, what's this called? Bills to pay. But the money comes into me, they remit to me, overheads, exactly. The money comes into me at the end of the month. So today is 5th. I'll get my money on the 5th of August. By then you would have done your business, gotten your profit before you pay me. Now my overheads are waiting for me. And so in the long term, nobody wants to be associated with them. Again, some of their charges are very, very high. So anytime any of these, we have discussion. I happen to be in the arena. people, we discuss this, and everybody is shying away from them. Nobody wants to associate with them because, again, they bring you a very big, long, contract. You read through, and if you are not fortunate, you are not somebody who really gets into it to understand. At the end of the day, you lose. So, for me, I think that a lot of people are shying away from them. They've only given opportunity to operators to find a way of standing on their own.
I mean, briefly put, I think they're giving you the marketplace, okay? But even that, and the conversation that you're saying right now is not only just for the small businesses. Right now, we are even looking in terms of the MICE or the business events sector. We're looking at how people are not even looking at the nitty-gritty of the contract and details. And MICE is showing us a lot of stuff because a lot of events, mega events, have been cancelled. Now, what I would say to that is the fact that if you are a small operator and you have the time and energy, you have to take control of your business. That's what I believe, because sometimes the business that the OTAs bring, and if you've taken time or you are one managing your own things yourself, you realize that you can even do better.
Yeah.
Because the kind of deals they are bringing in, and if you do the SWOT analysis, you believe that maybe if you invest some time and energy into building your capacity in terms of managing your interface and all of that, you're better off than them. Now, it's not just in Ghana, and many people. I was talking to some of my colleagues in Zimbabwe, and I mean they're putting in some article they want me to publish. Is the fact that these people, these OTAs who are largely making a lot of money in Africa, didn't have even the moral, courtesy to be able to put in something for training or something for them. Now, Booking has filed for government support in Netherlands, right? So what I'll say is that if you put in energy on yourself and you get a network, trust me, you can build your own marketplace. And depending on what kind of things that you're doing, I mean, in terms of either if you have a small hotel now, look, right now is the best time for SMEs to also shine. Because remember that for the COVID and for health and all of that, big brands are going to suffer because people cannot trust, and because of the social distancing and all the issues that people have to travel and the protocol. You are better to go to a very boutique, chic, small place that you don't have the possibility of having a lot of people in terms of that. So I share your sentiment that we put in a lot of money for these OTAs, but if you invest in yourself or any of your employees, you are able to create a better market place for your business.
Excellent. All right, good point. Kwame, I think you are okay with that one. Yeah.
Yes, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now, could you let's come back to the issue about Ghana, in the midst of the competing, countries. Now, what do you think our proposition really is? I know that we talked about the idea that, we are, heritage and culture and heritage. And perhaps thinking that we probably could add mice to it. Now, clearly, if you look at the way, tourism is moving, Rwanda from nowhere has actually, kind of jumped into the competition clearly. Now,
let me just chip in. Yesterday, if you care to know, yesterday they did a 26th anniversary of the thing that happened in their country.
Yeah.
They again launched a new product called the digital product. I don't know whether you saw it. A digital product for the trail. So just to add up to what you can
exactly. Now, what do you think Ghana stands in all this, in the midst of the competition? Do you think that with the launch of Year of Return, Beyond the Return, the idea that Ghana is still held in high esteem, we would one day emerge as one of the strongest, either in MICE or we'll still hold our own on heritage, etc.? What do you think is the?
You know,
From
thank
the
you.
UNWTO perspective and the conversation that you guys have from the top there, what's the guy?
Okay, so if you look at from the UNWTO perspective, that one, I just also tell you, is much more dealing with the member states and helping them and using some of our benchmarks from our members, some of our broader member states for them to scale up. Okay, so UNWTO, just like any UN agency, help the members, help them get funding, develop some other projects, etc., etc. But if it comes to developing of your own, what's the name, your strategy, okay, that's where they had the World Bank projects and all of that. I think there's a lot of things that are localized here. So if you look at Rwanda, they had to decide that they wanted this market based on their SWOT analysis, and they want to go for that. We can decide that we want to do this. In Ghana's positioning, unfortunately, I think that the year of return was, a lot of people were traveling, like I said, even we had a problem with the data set. Remember that the ministry said something, the tourism board said something, and as of now, you cannot get a reliable data right now, this moment, from the Ghana Tourism Board about this. So that it becomes difficult to plan. I mean, that's the base plan. If you don't have that data set, what you can do, it's going to be difficult, you see? So Mr. Ajimad said that they want to use mice. Now, remember that if someone is coming to host an event in Kimpiski and Labadi or something, and they are not competitive, that event might go to El Goree Island in Senegal, or it may go to Cabo Verde, Santa Maria. This is going to go there because it's all the things that you have in place that people believe that, okay, do you have the infrastructure? And if it's very high, top event, look, as I speak to you now, we don't have interpreting service that can take about 3 languages or 3 languages. Top of the range is not Mickey Mouse one to put, but top of the range for these big events. We have to bring some people from, say, Togo or somewhere.
So it means that we don't actually understand French and Spanish. We only speak our English and perhaps our local language. That's it.
You see, when you bid for the event, they have that sector or those countries that want to move it. You have to satisfy some requirements. Now, you can even bring people from Cote d'Ivoire. They can know, and they know all of that. The booth, even they don't have it. Some of the booth. And now, the booth has graduated into very sophisticated machines that is quite easier than what we use. And if I tell you off record again here, when we had the women conference in November.
Yeah, I was there.
We had to struggle with the people and say, guys, the lady said, come on, he cannot get the things. He has to struggle to bring some people to have it. So if you look at that infrastructure baseline, you don't even have it. The
Even
hotel can try.
I said, and you say we have a PCO.
No. I say you can have. Okay.
No, so I'm asking if all these have not been put in place. Do we have a PCO in Ghana?
So you see, no. What I was saying was that in its colloquial form of PCO, okay, you may not have, but I'm saying before we had minds or business event, people are holding their event already. This is fine.
Yeah.
Now, these same people have to graduate to have the rudiments or to boost how events are done around the world. If you go to South Africa event or go to Kenya event, you know that it's there. I mean, it's literally like going to event in Madrid or something. So when we had this event, they gave it to event organizer here. And you see, that's the thing. In Ghana, they have all this evolution and different groups. They can put the flat screen and things that way. This is fine. But in the course of the thing, the running order and the things, we had challenges with them. Every time I had to sleep like 2 a.m. because my boss had to call and say, okay, because everything was working. And the guys thought that, okay, this is how we do it. But if you are doing an entertainment event, it's different from doing that kind of event. And people will say that we've had heads of state meetings and stuff like that. No, yeah, that's just fine. But clearly, the conference center itself, we don't have an event center that can host mega events. Okay? The conference center, you see now, first of all, it's not disability friendly. Or they have to retool. They have to bring it down and retool it.
There was not even Wi-Fi. You know, when we had the ATLF, people wanted to even plug their phones, on there was nothing.
You have all these things, the IT technology, all of that has to be plugged. That's why we believe that tourism and the mine sector is a big business. That if you have it going right, you have videographers, you have this, you have that. You build a whole ecosystem, and the ecosystem will plug in. So if I come in as a Voyage Afrique, as a travel media, I'm getting my business because of what I'm supplying for the trade. As we speak now, we get business to go and do in Kenya or Malawi or Uganda. That's how we do things. So if you again, it can be opportunity. So for example, if you cannot, you can pick that as a PCO. People may think that, oh, you just came right this moment and you want to be PCO, that kind of the Ghanaian thing. But realize that people will still go for the top and how much you can pay, but you can deliver well. So I've seen big hotels. I work with them, Labadi Beach Hotel, Kempiski, Movenpick, and all of that. They have all the grandeur of the setting and everything, but you said the small detail. The detail is in the dark. It's missing. That's the point. So I'm just wrapping up to say that in Ghana's case, we can position depending on how we want to do it. If we say we want to be MICE destination, you need to put in the infrastructure. Right now, we look like we are going towards a heritage and the diaspora. Now, this is just personally my opinion. The reason I don't normally go for pilgrimages is much more pilgrimage, okay? And people come for spiritual purpose, which is also part of tourism. But if you weigh the two and you put your money in MICE, and if you put your money in leisure, you get the return on investment is quicker, bigger, and better than in leisure. Because first of all, remember that when you have 100 people coming to your destination, basic mathematics, people are going to sleep in the hotel. Let's assume it's $100. Okay, the flights coming in is not bad. When they are going, they're going to pay tax. People are coming in, they're gonna, they'll eat, they'll start, and all of that. So if you put that resources into developing your MICE sector, the return on investment is quicker and it's faster. At the same time, I'm not saying that you just go there and say you're developing just MICE. As tourism is a synergy. So if you don't have the services that people can, right now it's still difficult for you to access some of our services online, even though we are in 2021 or 2020 right now. It's difficult to go to the GTA site and create a tour right now to do all of that. You cannot get it. And that's why innovation shouldn't just be where we are now, but it should be part of we going forward. And if GTA can put all these things together, because look, the media thing and the media blitz and stuff like that cannot address the nagging questions that we have in the sector. Kobe, you meet people, the sector people, some of them, I'm sorry, but you meet them and realize that completely they are driving the sector into an abyss. That's a fact. And people have been there for years and ages. They say they are doing this and that. But remember that African American market that we used to know was coming is not coming. We are not the sole people coming because of Nkrumah. You're better to go to Kenya. You're better to go to Rwanda because they put everything together. And remember, if you go to East Africa, they have one visa. It's costing you $100 to visit 4 countries. So all these things put you in a very competitive destination to be able to see that, okay, you can attract tourists. And then people are now doing e-visa. Look, the Ghana visa, when you get there again, you're supposed to have to guarantee for you, you have to put addresses and all of that. In Rwanda, you get there is $30. $30, and you apply it on your phone. You don't need to show, you scan the barcode to pick it up. So all these things goes to put you in a position that you become competitive destination and you can be able to attract the tourists that you want. But importantly, you need to define what you are looking for. You need to know what you want. The market is very big. You can decide that you want leisure travelers, you want event MICE and all of that. But you would decide what you want, and you put the resources in it to see that they can be able to do that. So
okay,
if Ghana decide that they want to go from the traditional thing that we know that, okay, we have the Cape Coast Castle. Look, people don't come and see the architecture no longer. It's about the experience. And a person will come and just spend 2 days in the conference. Just the 1 day that he spent in Oxford Street, he'll never forget. And there's also the statistics from ICA. 55% of conference delegates returns back to the place with their families. So I personally I've been going for MICE. I mean, I put my money on mines, but you have also shopping tourism. I believe you people know. So what has happened is that the UNWTO and from our research department and our working agencies, they've developed new stuff. So now you have like shopping tourism. Of course, you have the cultural tourism. You have all parts of tourism that you can be able to establish that it has that element of tourism and it is bringing in some amount of income. But we don't capture it here. So when somebody goes to South Africa and just goes to shop, supposed to be shopping, right? Shopping tourism. But it finds itself in trade. And that's the leakage. So people don't tend to appreciate the effects and how strong the tourism sector is. I don't know if anybody has some questions, but
yeah. Guys, any questions before I actually, yeah, any questions? All right. Now, let me ask you a question, could you about let's say Kwame's Hotel, all right?
Yeah.
I appreciate you talked about, the idea that if, for example, post-COVID, perhaps there will be a lot of people looking at smaller places as opposed to, these big, areas. Now, what do you think are some of the things that, a place like Kwame's place has to put in place in order to, take that lead or to, enjoy that kind of advantage? I think Jemima too has a question. So Jemima, ask your question before, he tackles mine.
Oh, okay. I wanted to know his take on the prospects of cruise tourism in Ghana.
The prospect of cruise, yeah.
Okay, Jemima, thank you very much. I think that just like the other parts of the tourism that we've not put in a lot of energy in what we're doing, I don't think that we've really putting effort. And I know this because I know one operator who is doing that in Sansikes, who's brought in some, I think this year they were supposed to bring in Carnival here or something like that. But also from a private opinion, okay, this is just my private opinion, is that how we measure the effect of cruise tourism. Sometimes when they're just passing and spending a day there or something, rarely they don't, in a lot of countries I know, they don't even add it, they don't measure it as part of the effect of the destination, if it's just one day passing. Because everything is bought, and there's not enough data to establish that there's no proper impact in terms of financial impact, economic impact in the destination. But in Ghana's situation, they've not even taken that on board. And what I know is that Sunseekers has been working with the tourism board to see how they can bring Carnival to Ghana. But the prospects, yeah, they are prospects, but I don't see something that is happening anytime soon, from what I know.
Okay.
All right, good point. So
and even for that one, for cruise tourism, as the general tourism is taking about 4 years to return back, it may take about 5-6 years, because right now, it was the epicenter of that, and because of how it is, so it's going to suffer for a long time.
Okay.
So about the hospitality, the accommodation, small ones like Kwame's place, what must they put in place? What are some of the prospects for them, etc.?
Okay, so the underlying factor or something that will be key for everybody, like we've said, is going to be the word trust. Trust will be the new currency post-COVID. I don't think there's post-COVID. We are still going to live with it. Okay, so trust will be key. Now, trust, you don't just derive it from endorsements, etc., etc. You derive the trust from what you are doing, the things you're putting in place, and what people are experiencing. So it's going back to the review things. So for example, if I go to Kwame's place, and I know that the sanitizer things, social distance, etc., is put in place well, people then become ambassadors of that particular place. And once you demonstrate, you can use different tools of what you put in place. You've done your bit of showing what has been done and what has been put in place. The test now comes when people come there and experience it, and they know that it's not just writing or putting something out there, but it's happening. But then again, you need to tell your story of what you've done in terms of the measures that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
But in itself won't convince people that much unless they've experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've seen, look, in Kenya, they brought the protocols. And they say some hotels are putting some art and stuff like that. Come here because we are safe to go and all of that. People want to, in trust, you cannot buy trust, right? You can do PR stuff, but that is not trust. It will give you brand equity.
Mm-hmm.
But then people will be able to know that the measures and things that you put in place is in consonance with what is supposed to help people, or preventive measures that they are assured of their safety. But you can also position yourself as a small hotel. How we interact. The tourism sector is how do they say, people to people, no?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's people to people, and if you put in a mechanism, that means that you've lessened the people to people. What it means is that you are in a better position. And because if you have 5 room, 10 room or something, the possibility of contracting is often limited compared to 100 or 50 room place. And that you've adhered to all the things. And you have to communicate how that place is a chic, a boutique, special, small place. That's why I believe is going to help in terms of people having trust, and trust will be derived from what you put in there. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. Kwame.
Okay, so my question is, can we have an effective tourism drive without F&B?
Moment, you said, can you have what? Repeat again, please.
Can we have an effective tourism drive? Can we go have an effective tourism without F&B?
Never. Okay, so tourism, the end result of tourism is all the things that come together. Okay, so in the tourism as a body, it constitutes synergy from all other sectors. So F&B, restaurant, service, infrastructure, aviation, airline, etc. But remember, like what I said, that how tourism started in itself was people moving to a place, for leisure purposes, other than working. So if you go somewhere and you spend a night there, if you spend a night there without working, and that's tourism. And if you spend a night there, I mean, come on, the baseline is F&B you cannot take it out of it. It's one of the pillars. People ordinarily don't even give attention to F&B. In Ghana and in West Africa, if you go to East Africa and Southern Africa, dining is one of the big things.
Yeah, culinary.
It's art. Culinary is big. As I speak to one of my colleagues, he's doing every day the I Eat show, and people like to pay money to go and have good dining. So, Kwame, you cannot divulge F&B is a pillar of tourism. Because remember that if you have the hotel and the person is not even making bed and breakfast, okay? You have to provide some stuff like water and some few things if you really want to do, position yourself in that way. So F&B is a very strong component of the tourism delivery chain.
Thank you. All right. Good. Okay, so any other question from you guys? Any other questions? All right. Now, yeah. Now, what about, the issue of, do I say, training, for example? All right. Now, what do you think are some of the things that we are lacking? I mean, from our hotels through to our attractions, the destinations. What do you think are some of the things that are lacking that we must actually, upgrade in terms of capacity building, training, etc., in order for us to come to speed with the places that the East Africa, for example, that we speak so much about? What are some of the gaps?
So I think it's a fact what you're saying, that one of the core problems that we have is the training and the human resource. So you realize that if you compare to East Africa, they built 1976, they had a Italy College, the famous Italy College that has exported a lot of professionals to Dubai, I mean, Europe, and here. I mean, in West Africa, they brought up in West Africa and even Ghana specifically. Now, again, learning the trade of tourism and still learn every day, we're all learning. I believe that tourism is the baseline of tourism resource or human resource or training is vocational and technical, in my opinion. Okay, we can graduate it of the things that's happening of fleet and all of that, but you realize that all over the world we have the casual workers, we have systems that we put in place, and the whole tourism enterprise. So hotels and big chains usually will put in their own structures that ensure that their staff undergoes training, okay, to be able to come to be abreast with how things are done in the industry, the Marriott, the Kempinski, the Radisson Blu, the Onomos, all the hotels you can make mention of, So it's key. Now, Ghana, unfortunately, they've started with the hot cuts, and I believe you guys know hot cuts. It's
the hospitality and tourism
trainings,
catering, whatever training. Yeah.
You see, we have an attitude in Ghana where it's seen as not a serious place. Sorry to say. So the models and things that were supposed to have been developed that will help the people in the industry to know, what they're doing, how to build their capacity is not there. So people now renege because I don't want to say government, but the institution has a renege on its own. The hotels now go and see HR agencies and all these agencies, and they can recruit people. Then you see that it's reflective if you go to the hotels or restaurants or any other tourism plants. You see the service gaps. So what I think we can do is that if you have a staff or if you have a property or you are into that profession, of course, we are in the digital world. I don't think it's everything that you can have using digital tools, but it helps you to be able to appreciate the problem. And then people can be able to take some of these courses. Okay, so the courses and the practical aspect of it. So people if you go to Kenya, they take them from Utali College because the college was a Utali College and hotel. So you spend 1 year in the school's hotel. It's about, I think, 80 rooms or something like that. You spend a year going through the meal, whether you want to be from the receptionist to this and all of that. So by the time you come out, the arts, you've mastered the arts of understanding what service delivery and what the things are. Look, you know that if you go to Tali College and ask anyone, he will tell you who a 5-star person is just by the way you can be able to put a tray, put trays on your right hand. These are all arts and things that you have to learn. So we've not invested so much in that area. And then we expect that these people go to these specific hotels and they're supposed to do magic. Now I blame the hotels because in as much as they're getting all this money, they've not put some allocated funds to help their people understand. And Kobe, you know that. Some of these people, they don't even actually want to pay that. They don't want to pay. I understand the overhead cost. Look, the baseline in Ghana, doing business in Ghana is very expensive. Don't run away from that. That's very expensive. And to do all of that, sometimes I can understand the businessman's frustration, and we all go through that. But if you think about the fact that you have a big client who come and see the restaurant, who is paying X amount of dollars in your hotel, and then he's getting that rubbish of a service, he's not going to come again. People don't usually measure it, but if you measure and you get feedback, it helps you to be able to do things better. And, it helps you to shape what the hotel want to achieve with their own standards. And the human resource of thing cut across, unfortunately, our our sector, I mean, our country, from banks to, remember your own bank situation, Kobe. So
Yeah.
that's a problem we have. But I think that if we can have a dedicated, it doesn't need to be a full-time school or something, I know, but there's always some models and courses that people can be able to be abreast to the things, and not all the so-called supposedly have to be higher education. Because we've seen that in Malaysia, in Spain, in Germany, in Africa, in Mexico, in Cancun, the same. They have a school there. That's what they do. So we don't necessarily have to be university stuff like, but a hub, a knowledge hub. And people are losing the point that knowledge and capacity building is important. That's the engine room of all sectors. You know, and people, if you don't appreciate that, then I don't know how you want to grow your own sector with thinking that you can just, you know, be going by with the flow. So you realize that they start changing people. So when a new hotel, which is coming up, Hilton is coming up, you go and take people from Labadi, put them there. Other places will come and push them, and it's the same, a bit of a bad service.
Excellent. All right, thank you, Kwame.
Yes, I think I was coming to that. If I don't have empirical stats when it comes to turnover, but if Sir agrees with me that there is higher turnover, there's huge turnover in this industry. If he agrees with me, how do we tackle the turnover? How do we tackle it? Because it's an industry. I've been here for some time. I realize that, I mean, it's a sector that people leave easily. Today you have somebody working, tomorrow the next day person is quit, he's gone, and it's just, it goes on like so. You realize that building capacity becomes very difficult. The people are not able to train. I mean, you're not able to train, and where you even train, the likelihood of you getting that person to stay is very, 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 very low.
No, I think that's true. No, you're perfectly right. But also, we have to look at the other side of, if you have, and that's why I started by saying that we have huge disparity in our sector. Okay, there's a lot of unfairness. Equity is a challenge. So you realize that the gap between your F&B manager, okay, and then your director of sales or something, and all of that is too huge. And people, I don't know which hotel can do this, you know, this kind of thing, but it contributes to the turnover. Because ultimately, if you go to, let's say, I mean, the obvious ones that we may mention is the hotels, right? That has a huge turnover. If I'm not wrong. If you go to airlines,
sure.
Now, if you go to the hotel, you're a marketing manager. You can be there for 10 years or 5 years, being a marketing manager. Now, you being there is by the position there is fine. But you know within you the numbers that you are bringing in. I'm not saying that if you are employed, necessarily bringing the numbers means that you have to agitate for increase or something like that. But also realizing that the challenge that we have in our country, where we have a problem, unemployment problem, and people don't have jobs and all of that. People get in that. And because they are not motivated and enthused about it, it becomes a springboard to move on. But when you get in and the environment is good, that you realize that it has a future, I think logically people may want to stay. But all the movements is connected somewhat to remuneration. We can't run away from that. It is the most least paid. Nobody speaks for them. You have even the casual is worse. I get stories every day. It's horrible. And until we address these things, we will still have the issues there. Because remember that the hotel general manager, the director, whatever, who is there, the service, the end user is having the interface service from the attendant, or the person who's going to lay the bed. So if we don't address that and we don't see it as a job that they can, look, people tend, and that's why sometimes when Muzungu and things come here and all of that, and we are quick to do all of that. Sorry, Muzungu is white man, I'm sorry. We tend to look at it from the viewpoint that how do we address getting people building these properties in our country? Of course, it's good. But what do the locals get? They have to get a training, they have to ensure that what they are paying. So we can pay an expatriate $5,000 for expatriate. But yet at the same time, we cannot pay that same money, not the same money, but even less, 1/3 of it to his assistant. And these are the challenges that we find ourselves in. So if we don't do this, look, we'll continue changing, people will move. And because it's not attractive, tell me, the hotel industry is not attractive, okay? People use it as an entry strategy. And then when they get there, they'll move. And people who are even dedicated and who have been there, got the masters and all of that, they don't get the opportunity to become general managers or some, because there's a perennial problem or perennial nonsense that we believe that it can only be done by a white man sometimes. This is a bit situation, because if you look at the industry, you also realize that a lot of the markets that they get in these big 5-star hotels, they get them from where? The sales directors, the sales staff, or people who drive sales and marketing. But I tell you, many of them will want to leave because you'll be there, and the worst thing in life is that you don't see career progression. So you may want to leave. So I think that that's contributing disparity and inequality. Is accounting for what we are facing in terms of staff turnover in the industry in Ghana.
Okay, Kwame, your hand is still up, or?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay, sir.
Now,
I hope I answered the Kwame. I don't know if I.
Yeah, it was.
You have.
It was solid. Now, ladies, nobody's asking a question, please. Apart from Jemima's question, you guys are not asking questions.
Yeah, I ask questions, sir.
Now,
yeah, I'm not a lecturer, so please let's have a conversation.
Do you think that the hotel industry must be regulated just like the financial services? Because elsewhere you have policy on tipping, all right?
Yeah.
And it is so because they can use it to address the wages thing that we're talking about. And so, do you think that we probably have to look at it from that perspective? How do we shore up, people's, wages? How do we make it attractive? Can we actually look at, how the financial sector is run, i.e., setting out certain base, level in terms of salaries or wages?
That's the best way to go. For me, I think that, even for tipping, okay, if you go to different hotels and different hotel groups, they have policies. So I tell you, in Marriott and in Sheraton, what they do is that everybody get their tip, they put it in the whole bowl for the day, and then they can give out to. If you go to Melia hotels or in Melia Castilla, they do it as and when you get. I mean, you get it. You even write it for them and stuff. So people have different policies, but the tipping thing in America, also in South Africa, if you don't tip, it is not correct.
Yeah,
something is missing. In fact, tipping is part. Gratuity is part. You have to put. We don't have that culture here. Okay, but also remember that the bigger society as Ghanaians, also to the service, our appreciation of that. Don't appreciate that people are giving service not because it's their job to do, but when you get, if you're delighted or you are happy with a specific service, even somebody who has a lot of money or something like that, don't think it's necessary. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but there's a thing I've observed from
of course,
top people. Even sometimes they say they are
the only tip if they think you are pretty.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. So this kind of thing, but I think that the underlying fact, situation that we need to address is that we need to have a baseline salaries for them, and then let them appreciate and know that this is the sector, because a lot of them, they are in worse situations, and because there's no job, so sometimes you are doing out of there's no job, you got to do it. But I've seen other colleagues and stuff like that they've gone in and eventually became big people in the sectors in different countries. So mine my take on that is that we need to look at the baseline salary or something that we can peg and say that, because there's a free market economy. So sometimes I don't know how they're going to deal with that, but if the industry looked into their own face and say that we're having challenges and this is how we can address it, it'll be good, because I think it's so unfair. They cannot speak. People are being cheated a lot. I know. And this has to stop. And if you don't do that, people will come in, they will use hospitality and hotels as a knee-jerk, kind of, landing field, and then they
get experience and then they will go to other places. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kwame.
Hello, doctor.
Hi, Joanne. Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening, Joanne. Yeah.
So my question is it okay to expose your your finance or your income, how much the hotel generates in a month, to the employees? Maybe some of these things will help, because maybe they'll be thinking that, oh, you are having so much visitors, but they have forgotten you are also making other expenditures. Is it okay to once a while sit down and discuss what comes in and what goes out?
Of course.
With them?
Mean, one of the best business practices is transparency, isn't it? And companies who are not transparent, or that are not transparent with their staff, management that are not transparent with their workforce, always suffer, loyalty issues or, uncertainty. High staff turnover. So if you look at the management style, organizations that have a very open door, transparent management style where staff and management, positively engage on how much you're making, how much it's costing, etc. They tend to have a very understanding and a very loyal staff, because then the staff can appreciate that you are not only, absorbing or profit to yourself, but you are being honest with the way the place is. So of course, it is one of the best managerial, philosophies that you could have. Kojo, I don't know what your position is.
No, I think you're right. But what I'll say is that depending on the philosophy that you adopt or your management style, I don't think that in total or in details that you have to divulge because I think there's a whole corporate structure in the hotel and in how you run things. I don't think you need to go and show your employee that some things are for, that's why you have the board and the management. But the transparency part of it is the fact that people come to hotel or you employ people, they know their primary responsibility, they know what they are getting. But then sometimes as business people, we also know that communication is so key and so crucial. And if you don't address that, you don't have that interactivity with the people have different minds. So once you do that, it assuages sometimes it kind of quell the speculations that they may have of suspicions, or I don't want to call it suspicion, but their own thinking or their own figment about how you're doing things. But personally, I don't think necessarily you have to be showing the P&L to your staff. Okay. There's a way to go about it, but yeah, that's right.
Kojo, let me ask you one controversial question. And obviously, I'm sure between us, we have been discussing that over the period. Now, we always make references to places like, Gambia and the way they have tourists, flourishing. Obviously, in South Africa, a big place, especially when you go to Durban and things. But clearly, one of the areas that, controversially had contributed to arrivals, the big word, sex tourism. Now, what is your position? Do you think that the country is somehow, I don't know how to put it, the country is shy of discussing it? Must it be a part of our growth strategy? Must it be not? Or how should we handle it? Obviously, we know the reality is that When you go to, Caribbeans, it's a big part of it. When you go to Latin America, huge part of it. If you go to Cancun and all those places, I mean, we recently talked about Gambia and the bombers and all those, stories that you hear. What's your position?
Okay, so this is just my
Obviously,
position.
it could also give Kwame a lot of occupancy. Kwame.
Let's see. So, what I would say to that is that, of course, sex tourism has been there ages. Okay, I don't know whether it's sex tourism or not, but that's fine. And people traveling. The thing is, and this is my personal position.
Yeah.
We travel and we make a lot of travels around the world. You go there. Your primary reason of going to Mauritius, it's not to go and grab some lady and have sex. Okay, that's the thing. Now, once you land there and whatever knock-on effect or stuff or engagement or something that you have, that's also fine. But the base that I would like to start is the fact that you have to look at your values of what you see, because sex tourism in itself also is illegal in a lot of countries. And is grounded in their own value system on how they see things. We may argue things have changed, like LGBTQ and all of that, travelers, they spend more and all of that, around the world, but people don't talk about it. That's fine. But the position is that over the years, and the records will speak for itself, that sex tourism is not just a trade of adults going to have sex and all of that, or people known for a particular prowess, in terms of sex. But ultimately, it affects the fiber of that particular society. Either young people are exposed to it, then you are going to areas of exploitation and whatnot. So if you have a regulatory system that can regulate, say, like the way they are saying for prostitution and all of that, because the base of those people, like in Thailand and in Mexico, Cancun, all of that, prostitution is legal.
In what do you call this?
Netherlands, prostitution, Bali, all of that.
Bali,
Look, in Bali, actually, if you go to Bali, and it's very crazy, huh? If you go to Thailand and all of that, you see a man who want to sell a sex for you, okay? But he pretend he's a woman. All this kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that the grounds in which you can begin this thing from, or have the conversation, is that if it's for whether prostitution is legal for you in your own country. The thing is, you cannot hide away from the fact that sex tourism is happening constant. The fact that, as I'm saying, that unless you are seeing it as a traffic, as a deliberate action, that people are traveling to a particular village in Gumafete just for that, that's what I think it's a problem, because then you then get into the area of what's pedophiles and all of that, etc. and all of that. So it has to. You have to look at it from the legal side and the value system and the social side. But I've not denied that it's existing in our sector a lot, everywhere.
Yeah,
it's not a trait that is known for traveling. See, but it's something is happening. These kind of things.
Excellent. All right, thank you. Yeah, Blake.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I was once told about it. I didn't believe it, so I had to travel with my husband to Côte d'Ivoire to have a look at it. And we did. We actually traveled because of that.
Yeah.
But when we got there, they asked of our ID cards. They were keen on it. They wanted to see the age and all before we get in. Though we looked very matured, but they still insisted on seeing the ID card. We got in there. I was amazed.
Yeah.
I was amazed at what I saw. In fact,
tell us
when we got back.
Yes, this is class. So your mates have to benefit from the experience.
Yeah. You see, I was with him and there were these ladies in heels wearing, some were totally naked, some were half naked. And they came to sit on him, and I mean, you know my mood.
Your heart was pumping, eh?
They were sitting on him, and I was trying to react, and he was like, I thought you said you wanted to see it.
Yeah, we are listening. So you wanted to react.
We did.
I didn't want to react.
You know, at a point, oh, sorry, Nianko.
Okay. Yeah.
So no, in fact, I have seen stuff about what I saw, and the number of people in there buying drinks, the number of people, the number of cars that were parked outside. It's amazing. I mean, hey, at some point I had to relax and enjoy it.
I can understand that. And if you travel across and in Cancun, this is the same thing. In Cancun, in Russia, when I was in St. Petersburg and in Russia, first of all, to if you see a lady or anybody you see to buy a cigarette or to give a cigarette to somebody, you have to look at the ID card of this person. Anybody, you have to look at the ID card. To buy her a drink or him a drink, you need to still look at the ID card. It's illegal in Russia completely, totally. That if you are not 17 years, you cannot have a cigarette or have a drink. Now, the famous Dubai, if you go to the hotels, and you check in alone, it's okay. With somebody, it's fine. You come with the person. But if you are in the hotel and then you bring somebody, you cannot bring somebody in the room, in the hotel room. The same time in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia, the same thing. Okay, these guys, because they are Muslims, and sorry if I have a Muslim, this is their loss. Now, if you go to places also and I think that this is even happening in Ghana. I don't know if this is happening in Ghana, everywhere. They have the clubs where Epstein and co are doing and all of that. Yeah. In Madrid, there's a place in Zambia.
Sir.
Bless,
yes. Hello, sir. Yeah. Sorry. You said, so if maybe my husband travels and I had to meet him maybe days after, I won't be allowed to the hotel. Is that it?
Okay. You have to prove. Yes, that's it. In Dubai. I mean, there are times that you can sneak all of that, but you have to prove beyond that this is your husband. Because you see, they are working with the Islamic law, a lot of stuff. Even though it's a haven for investment, all of that. They don't reach a lot of compromise on when it comes to these kind of things. But they are doing bad things. At the same time, in Tunisia, we did something, when you are drinking in some places, it's not allowed. But they like the drink a lot. Mm-hmm. So if you come to Madrid, there's a place, it's just after Santiago Bernabeu, down there is a big place in Gran Via, because our office is just opposite that side. People go there, big place, like they go there. Hey, Ronaldo has a gym there, this kind of place, this side. It's like how do you say? It's not a disco, it's a pub and very posh end, So top of the range people, top all these people there. And at the same time, they have like a service they call different thing they call in Spanish. You see all these Latino ladies and many people like they are there. And it's because in Spain it's legal to have this service, and it's classified in different services. So it's granted in their law. But remember that in Cote d'Ivoire, it's illegal to the point that when the police come, they will arrest everybody who is there. Just like in Ghana, if the police establish, for example, that my room, I'm doing that kind of trade, and they have enough evidence, they'll prosecute it. But the tourism industry is not like, it's not mechanical. This is a liquid flowing thing. It's liquid across. And in fact, sex, drink, smoke, these are the lines. This unfortunate to say, but these are the things. You cannot, it's like that. If you work as an operator, if you work as a tourism consultant or whatever in that, these things come across. And so it will be difficult for somebody to say that directly, the country is not doing sex tourism, but that trade is still available.
Yeah. Kwame, before you come in, but that's why I keep saying that the country should start having that conversation, because see, the point is that once you start having that conversation, then you're looking at what measures must we put in place
to address
in order that
some
we
of the
can
things
address, yeah. But if we're not having that conversation and the things are actually happening informally,
happening, yeah, I'm telling you.
You know.
Look, let me tell you some hotels. Where did we go? We went to Mozambique. Now this hotel, top of the range hotel, and they took us with the minister and all these big people. Now, once we got to the hotel, we did all our meetings, checking stuff like that. We are done. We were supposed to go to the club or something. No, we're supposed to go to some salsa music or something. One of this place. Then one of the hotel manager, because the hotel manager is from Cabo Verde, so he speaks kind of Creole, so we don't kind of speak Creole with him. And then they know their clients, or they know the kind of people they have in the hotel, top end. At the same time, he has a bit of a network with some of all these, big women or something like this. They don't come denially to you like these are call girls or quote unquote. But these are like professionals, something like this. And then we realize that, of course, we're not all little boys, but realize that that's he's able to get that for even heads of state and all these kind of things. So just to say that we cannot say that it's happening officially, but it's something that is just happening. Like the LGBTQ, okay? They spend than the normal leisure travelers. So in South Africa, it's legal. It's legal to have LGBTQ there. In fact, when we were having our meeting in Johannesburg, they asked the coach, you have to add these guys to it. This is our main group, and we're going to spend about $20,000 on them because they will spend times 10. So it's a conversation that, yeah, if we need to start that conversation, we need to ensure that whether the country itself we want to look at it or it's a gray area, I don't want to go there, But it's happening.
Okay, excellent. Kwame.
So I went off a bit, but let me just put in a little at last and then ask my substantive question. When you in the hotels, you realize that people coming and they ask for call girls. They ask people coming and they see to be, especially there are people who think that it's something that's there. Would ask you, especially me, I'm sorry, but Nigerians, they will come in and says, do you have some fresh vegetables? And you should understand some of these things. Unless, of course, you are nervous in the field. So then you have to find a way because it's part of the service. When I say it's part of the service in quotes, even though people it's not part of them. Okay, so
I wanted to change something on you on that side. I don't know what I'm going. Oh, you finished.
Very well. Okay, so you can note that. But talking about regulation, what do you think? How do you assess Ghana's regulation when it comes to hospitality, coupled with whilst you factor in look at restaurant service, for instance, with regulation when it comes to hospitality and restaurant? We have Ghana Tourism Authority. Regulating mainstream, and then you have Food and Drugs Authority also playing a certain role. How do you assess it? Do you think that effectively is playing a certain role and we forming a certain agenda that will keep our productivity high? Thank you.
Okay, so the last year, just to start from your first question, your intervention, I think that as an operator, as a hotel operator or something, sometimes it's also a very thin line. You just walk in a very precarious line. You have to be careful because these same people who come and say, this, can I have some, somebody, this, that, like that. The same people who make that, send out the messages. So then you have to be careful of your credibility. It's really important that people cannot, because people can say, and loosely, okay, that I went to Hotel B, Hotel C, and for sure, I can have this experience. So it can also do you some brand damage, kind of thing. But in terms of the regulations, I've advocated that, first of all, I think with all the best practices around the world, tourism boards or national tourism authorities, majority of them, they are marketing agencies, national marketing agencies, who don't need the trouble of doing inspection. You need to have an inspection unit, inspection department, not department, inspection parastatal. So we go to South Africa.
I'm sorry, but under the inspection directorate, under the tourism authority, or under it should be just a separate entity?
It should be a separate entity, in my opinion, on the best practices. Because see, the NTA, the tourism board, its mandate is the marketing of the country. That is its core mandate. Now, Ghana Tourism Board have been preoccupied. When I was working there, the same things used to happen. Everybody who come there, the best of this person will be have inspected hotel A, B, C, D, and some lousy inspection, checklist bullshit inspection. First of all, it doesn't even make sense. Second of all, it distract them from their core mandate of selling the Ghanaian experience, tourism product, etc. Because tourism and marketing is a big thing. It's not putting as a department. That is my viewpoint, because it's happening in South Africa, in England, in many places, even in Africa, in Kenya, the same thing. But if you look at the Food and Drugs Board, it's very crucial. Now, what I'm thinking is that instead of we having splinter, all these, and in fairness, the CEO said they tried doing that, having these splinter groups and small group, they can put them together, become one marketplace or one unit place. So the Food and Drugs Board, they are working with all this entity, because the Food and Drugs Board actually is so crucial and so key towards safety, security, etc., etc. So those ones, they are also base elements, because there's food involved, cleanliness, etc., and all of that. And that's why I believe that the tourism board sometimes is not grounded with the competencies of that. They may have the law that say come and inspect you because your bed sheet is not this, or you put a shoe shine. I mean, in this day and age, why do you need a shoe shine a shoe shine box to be 5-star? 5-star is marked by your service you give. Your review online will tell you whether you are a good 5-star or you are a box-to-box 5-star. These kind of things. So I've said that they think I'm crazy, but this is the thing. So Food and Drugs Board is so crucial, but I can understand if you're operating a hotel, I can understand that there's multiplicity of taxes. That, first of all, increases your operational costs. Second of all, it also makes it put too much stress on the things that, and doesn't give you allowance. If I say allowance in terms of financial space to be able to do stuff. So then you come to the main point that is very expensive running a business like yours in Ghana.
But I thought that the Ghana Tourism Company, Ghana Tourism Company is the one rather that takes care of them. Exactly. Development company. Is that that markets?
No, let me explain you. So you see what happened to this the marketing, the Ghana Tourism Development Company, okay? The history was part of the Ghana Tourism Board years ago. And then they detached it it was the unit of the investment unit. So the Ghana Tourism Development Company was supposed to attract investors to come and invest in the tourism infrastructure, the raw infrastructure, to develop it.
Okay.
But all these people, they renege on their duty. They are my friends, but they're sleeping. They're talking about, how they call, Marine Drive, all of that. All those ones is not working in my viewpoint. So if you have tourism board and if you meet any tourism official, you realize that the first number one thing that they are preoccupied with is inspection. I'm just like, come on, por favor, how can you be a tourism, tourism person, and inspection of some hotel or some chop bar is the thing that is supposed to be your main craft, as opposed to understanding the marketing of the sector. So I've said that until they would divulge that responsibility from them or give to that entity, we will try and micromanage to see if we can do things, but I don't think exactly we'll be able to, exercise the mandates and the responsibility to the core.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, there are agencies that have that competences, right, to doing that. I mean, if you go to Ghana Tourism Authority, I don't think that the staff there, I don't know the kind of staff they use for those supervisions but I don't think that they have the competencies to actually look at standards of maybe what type of soap you're using, do they actually have that kind of competence?
No, you see, for that one, it's like, come on. there's a standard there that we have. They will say, okay, of course, so for 5-star hotel, you have to have A, B, C, A, B, C. I mean, there are things out there. But there are technical areas even that they will claim. We have architects that they employ, but see, all this is public service to cut up a bit of nonsense in the whole ecosystem. But I'm telling you that competence, they can be better competence somewhere than just putting that there. So I'm not enthused to say that the Tourism Board's mandate of inspection, marketing, all of that, they're up to it. Maybe it's too much for them.
All right, excellent. All right, Kwame, your hand is still up.
Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you.
And all right, and now you haven't asked the question today.
Doc, it's fine. It's fine. I'm okay.
What about Patricia? We haven't heard from you.
Yeah, Doctor, I'm very fine. I'm just enjoying the lecture. I'm very fine.
Okay. All right. Obviously, Jemima has asked the question. Mercedes, we haven't heard you.
I'm okay.
Right.
I'm enjoying the lecture. It's
right.
great.
So,
Great insight.
Final thoughts that you can give us. What do you think? My students must be aware of. What should be their preparation? Some of them are in the industry already. Some of them are not in the industry, but they anticipate to be in the industry. Where those who anticipate to be in the industry, where do you think is the best for them to plug themselves? And those who are already in the industry, obviously you've told us about some of the opportunities, etc. But what should we be looking forward, especially those who are not in the industry and are thinking of going there? Where should they plug themselves?
Okay, so I think that, again, thanks again for the opportunity to engage with this distinguished group. So you would realize that I think that knowledge would always be the first point where you read a lot more what's happening on a global scene, and then you can localize it or adapt it. So any of you who is, of course, I don't know any of you on social media or on Twitter or something, you can see that our UNWTO page is very active, where we do a lot of, and as we speak to you now, imagine that we don't see, like I said, the culinary, the gastronomy, we don't see it well. Now, it's another big industry, the gastronomy, a big opportunity. Okay, people believe that you just eat and get, how do they say, be full. No, never. You cannot just eat and be full. It has to be an art. And that's why that we have a limited choice of food, and we don't see our African food even much more on international cuisine list. Yeah. So it's one opportunity. But once you have an open mind and you see what's happening elsewhere, you can look at it and see how you can localize it back here in Ghana. Okay, we may have different circumstances, but where there's will or what, where there is will or something like that, there's always.
Yeah,
yes. And then what you have to look out for is that usually I've also advocated that our system here was a bit, we needed to dismantle the colonial architecture of our tourism administration running. That if you have somebody coming from the uni or whatever, paying all the monies that before to be entrepreneur, it takes out the entrepreneurial spirit. People don't have that money. It may not be nothing to say it's only $500 or $400, but truth, people do not have this kind of money. And it doesn't encourage people to bring idea. And I told Mr. Jima that if you don't build an hub, information and knowledge hub, you will need knowledge ultimately to be able to address those issues. Okay, so look at also the innovation space. And again, innovation is not just only technology. Innovation on the things that can be part of the tourism service. Look, people will pay for everything so far as it's addressing a certain unique problem for them. Mm-hmm. And if you look at that across the world, in Seychelles, in Kenya, in Uganda, in South Africa, they have different stuff. If you always try and read and look at it, you can always get some of these opportunities. So that's what I would say. Now, for people in the industry, I think it's difficult, and I respect you guys. 24 gun salute, because it's difficult in Ghana. to do business. And if you also care to know, in West Africa, we are the most expensive country to spend. If you take $100 from here, you have better value in Lagos, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Cabo Verde. I mean, name them. So it puts you in a very tight situation. But if you have a small property or 10 or 12 or I don't know how many rooms Kwame has, but you are able to concentrate to put some commitment into what you're doing. And I believe that once you do that and with network, you are better to attract people than just paying money for these OTAs who ultimately may not even benefit that. And they don't have values and principles of trying to help domestic business. So that's what I would say. But always look out for our and tomorrow, I don't know if anybody have time, not tomorrow, 21st of July, there's an Africa Tomorrow conference that will happen on virtual. I'll send a link to Dr. Kobe Mensah. Now, that's okay. So it's a big thing around the world. And these are the big guys you can think about in the industry in Africa and the world. And sometimes we may be zoomed out or webinared out or something, but at least I'm able to take 10 minutes of good things that I can take away. So I'll implore all of you, if you have time, to be able to join that conversation, and don't hesitate to contact me or Kobe if you need other assistance in the sector, and I'll gladly make myself available. Now is COVID-19, so for the first time staying in Ghana for more than 1 month, it's terrible. So, but there we go. Thank you, guys.
I know. Kojo, thanks so much for that. Let me say that this is a very small group. I mean, we just started the HNP, and my idea, which I'm yet to discuss with them, is for us to build, start to build a kind of a group, that we could give them the empowerment, or we could empower them to move up, especially we talk about PCOs, etc. I'm thinking that there's a possibility that we can actually grow that capacity from here. I mean,
yes.
Unfortunately, a lot of people are not aware of some of these opportunities, and so may affect their entries. Now, those of us who are fortunate to be in the field, we know our duty is for us to start building capacity, bringing people together, so mobilization and capacity building. So I'm hoping that this group would stay together, and then we can find a framework for helping them to climb up, possibly to the UNWTO standards or levels, so that they can actually help strategically shape the industry the way we want it to be. So I'm glad that you agreed to help us. Obviously, this is not the last time. We're going to engage you more, especially on capacity building, directing my students into areas so that they can actually pitch up a little bit more. And I'm sure that for those who are already in the sector too, they can actually benefit from your profiling, what do you call Voyage Afrique, maybe profiling. Yeah, I think someone is calling me, so it sort of affected the connectivity. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Hello? Can you guys hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Breaking off.
Sorry about that.
Yes, better. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm saying that I'm sure some of my students, those who own places like Kwame's Hotel, I know NAD does some trips and things like that. Is it NAD? Do you actually host some people? And I know Mercedes has some kind of thing. Duan also was in industry. Maybe you can profile some of those who have something to do with the areas, and then kind of give them some possibilities a little bit. So I know Bless, are you in the industry as well already? Hello, Bless. Hello. Okay.
Yes, I run a restaurant.
Okay, yes. Oh. So again, you can actually profile Blessed Restaurant, and I'm sure poco a poco somebody will say we can actually build some capacity and then move on. Bless,
there's so. No, go ahead, please.
Bless, where is your restaurant?
Hello, Doc.
Yeah.
It's at Azuma Nelson Complex.
Oh, okay. All right. And
Yeah.
Jemima actually handles the Gapoa, what do you call the hospitality, sector. So maybe one or two profiling would not be a bad idea, to promote. And then
No problem. No problem. When that is suitable, when we have the time and all of that, why not?
Yeah.
And I would also make available to you some public documents from the UNWTO in terms of data sets, statistics, and innovations and things. And like you see, Natalia has been putting out there, one of my colleagues. We've been doing a lot, and sometimes people don't even get the opportunity to. They don't know what's happening because they don't follow. But a lot has happened.
Thanks in advance.
In Chile, in Colombia, we did something. So there's a lot of things. I is giving some opportunities, and there are things that if you go online, luckily for us, because of digital tools now, you'll be able to see. And once I have documents, I'll pass it on, and then you can share with them.
Excellent. All right.
Quick one.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Quick one. I think that we won't allow you to go without telling us what are beyond the basic or the ordinary prospects we know. What other things can we say or job prospects in the field or in the industry?
You see, let me be honest now. So I think that, again, because tourism was largely seen as an entertainment and leisure stuff and all of that, people even don't give the credit of some of the tourism ancillary things. So if you look at people just looking, and again, people look at hotels, airlines, all of that. Of course, right now, this moment, because of Corona, it is the worst affected. Okay, and yesterday I woke up to two of my friends who were part of British Airways. 2,000 people have been sent home. They were furloughed in 3 months, but now they've been completely off. You don't have nothing. Emirates is sacking about 700 people and all of that. So this time is very terrible times. I mean, this turbulence that we are going through turbulence. But what opportunity that it gives is to give opportunity for your own business. I think so. Whatever small that you like to start off with, depending a service that can enhance the visitor experience, but not forgetting things that happens in the multilateral institutions. I mean, like our institutions at the UNWTO. 2 days ago, we had to close the opening for. We needed some HR, we needed some digital person, we needed somebody to come a project. One of our guys actually 4 months ago also got a project for like 1 year, but I think it's about what, maybe 60,000 euros or something like this in a kind of contract. But it comes, and if you know how the UN system works, it's absolutely fair. So once it comes, I can always send to Doc some of those opportunities because people don't see. There are times that when we go to a system, they say that, okay, we have to extend it because we don't receive enough application. So some of the opportunity that exists there as international institutions, IATA and few things, but back home right now in terms of tourism, it's, I don't know, but unless, because the government sector for me, sorry, but it's a bit, in my opinion, is not it's not prospecting. You see, you work with the tourism board or the ministry or this, it's just giving opportunity, a platform, but it doesn't guarantee something better. So once some of these things come through, I'll be able to share with you guys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hello, doctor.
Yeah, Grant.
Yeah, please, the tourists who have been visiting, do they visit just to look at our natural tourist attractions, or can we as individuals also create our own attractions where people can come and visit?
Yeah.
Are they only here for the natural things, let's say the waterfalls, the mountains, and all those things? Or can we also...
Yeah, and that's why I was telling you the other time that, one of the reasons why we started Destination Legon is for, students to also create, attraction areas. So like you have your village, there's something interesting there. And then you can actually create a blog about it. You can set up a Facebook page, you can set up a Twitter page, and then you can talk about that particular place. Before you realize, people start trooping there. And when you cited an example about your, your grandfather or your uncle, I was saying that similar stuff you can do. So it is not about, what exists already. You can actually create an attraction, from, history of your family or whatever. So long as this, places are secure, safe, maybe certification that, yeah, this place is safe that somebody can actually go. You can start creating some publicity about it and getting people to come to the place. Could you, I don't know.
Okay.
No, I think what I'll add is that, Joanne, as before, it used to be a lot of people thought that was the case. Not necessarily. In fact, it is changed that people travel for the experience. Travelers' needs has changed. Okay, it don't used to be people still go and look at the majestic waterfalls, but when people come to Ghana, if I had an option from England or America to travel, I would spend good money to travel to Livingston or Victoria Falls to look at the majestic seventh wonder of the world, than take that money primarily to come and look at Falls here. So they may come for myriad of reasons, and then some part will become call for them to stay. But what you do is that if you create an activity, people can always plug in. Mm-hmm. And the good thing for us is that we don't have running activities or events that's happening in Ghana. So people come, and then in their room, they are looking for what they can do, because they checked before coming, they couldn't identify anything that they could do. But if you have an activity that you know that and all the thing is value addition. So far as it adds value and it gives people joy, my sister, they're gonna pay everything that you ask them to pay, to pay. So it is not necessarily of the product infrastructure stick product.
Mr. Kojo.
Oh, okay.
Yes, please.
Mr. Kojo, what do you think about me promoting sex tourism? What do you think? Do you think I'll have tourists come in and I'll make some good money?
No, I think that it will backfire terribly. That would because let me give you some instance. So what it's gonna do is that it will not only backfire, it may just pin you down for good. Okay, you may have one or two, but what happening is that first of all, because of the legal issues we have in our country in terms of that particular trade, and if you type the thing sex tourism, right now online, the narrative that it brings, it's terrible. You know how the rights, and if you look at the SDGs, I think I have to share with you with the tourism ones. Yeah. You realize that, look, people are also moving from the tourism of just, why are we taking, it got to a point, I'm working with an organization, when I'm leaving London to Paris, I use the Eurostar as opposed to using a flight, because they are trying to measure your carbon emissions. Mm-hmm. So I'm just adding to something that people are becoming sensitive to things like that. So in the short term, it may give you some dividends, but that dividend in itself will kill you more or better. It will just it won't just kill the business. It might kill you socially. I mean, in terms of your moral fiber. So what our advice is that, I mean, sometimes I distinction that people are making the thing about, like Kobe said, sex tourism and the other part. It's a bit complicated, because people will come to Ghana, they'll visit, whatever, they will make advances, just as I will make advances and say that, oh, bless, please, can I connect with somebody? Okay? In its own self, it's not like that. But when it becomes, now the use of different name, but when it becomes constant, you know how it is. But I would advise that, because of the situation here, it's not something that you may want to think about it as a business. I don't know, but this is just my pedestrian advice. You don't need to take.
Yeah, Mr. Kujo.
Yes.
Yes, please, I have this question. I want to ask that can we have a hotel system that is mainly made of our natural resources? I've been thinking about that because it's like most of the times, if we want these people to come and experience life, I always think that they shouldn't come and meet something that they have already been experiencing. Like, let's say somebody living the US and coming to Ghana and staying at a 5-star hotel. I've been thinking, can we have a structure like a whole hotel, all right, which is made up of thatch, maybe bamboo seats? Can something like that attract customers? Like a local setting, you don't have that kind of air conditioning, maybe there is no fridge, you use the cooler, you use everything well, like coming local. Can we have something like that?
Okay, so
Will it
sometimes
attract customers?
Okay, all right. So in some part of the country, they call it roots tourism or what's the name? I mean, there's technical name for it, but okay. So fire destinations. Okay, so if you go to Kenya, if you go to Uganda, if you go to all of that, I've stayed in the bush for 6 days. When I climb, Kilimanjaro, when I did Kilimanjaro, it's for 6 days. I stayed throughout on the trails in the night, carrying the things we are going with the porters, etc. Now, remember that for you to be a hub or a country or an attractive destination, your center of gravity should be a standard. Tourism, you have something called the tourism spend, and that will something that will boost your economy. The other ones that will come, unless you're in a safari destination place, it cannot restart your sector, and it cannot give the jobs. So if you have what you're saying, assuming that in Accra, center of Accra, you have a property. So you position yourself that to experience that kind of a product or service, you can put it that way. But because, again, we have a free market economy, people are putting things that the law allows them to do. But if you don't have the big 5 stars and stuff hotel, you cannot attract investment, the larger investments, not only tourism. People are coming for conferences. They're not interested in going to the castle or going to whatever. They just want to be in their room. Look, people come here today, they will leave tomorrow. Flight or big, they'll go. That's where you get the foreign exchange that can hold things like the other businesses. Okay, so urban tourism and key business tourism is your main core that will give the buffer, and then you can have these things. So if I'm sitting at a Labadi Beach Hotel, I may want to come there and drink some Tosca or Pito or something. That gives me a event. That's if I have a time on my screen. Exactly. Because there's no point to go to a restaurant, okay, and you cannot, you want to go and eat bolognese. It's true. Bolognese is Italian food. You don't eat bolognese, then you cannot prepare bolognese and somebody comes from Italy. But that offering has to be there. Because the business tourist is not the tourist who is come to pamper you and say, what do you have locally? And no, he's not concentrated on this. He come, finish his meeting, have his drink, do whatever he want to do. And if there's offering, they want to taste it. But the cultural tourist or the person who is an adventurous or whatever, they are into that. And they don't spend their money there. They spend their money at the local attraction site. That's why urban tourism also have grown to become a big sector. But even for the urban tourists, imagine that people come, these young backpackers, they come, they go to Republic Bar, they go to Bar, all of that. So you can do that as a service that you are giving, but it cannot be the main thing that is promoting the country.
Yeah, but that's for entrepreneurship.
I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, so that's for entrepreneurship perspective, i.e., somebody trying to provide that services, in a particular kind of sector, not
that's it.
Actually, as a country's own tourism growth area. Okay, that's good. Well, I think I forgot to mention Gloria as well. Gloria is here as well. Gloria, which area are you in now?
For now, I'm not yet working.
Yeah. So we're all trying to explore opportunities in the field, etc., isn't it? Okay.
There's also the media part of it, so people can also
the
writing and putting pieces and all of that.
Just like what Kojo does. Those of you who are interested in the media, etc. Anyway, guys, thank you so much, Kojo. We are so grateful for coming, and as I said, you will definitely be part of us, our resource in a person.
I hope I made some sense.
Of course,
it was okay.
Of course. All right, and guys, thank you for
a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kojo.
No, that's all right. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
God bless
let's
you
meet again.
so much.
No, God bless you also.
Are you going to offer Thanksgiving on our behalf? Or you nominate somebody?
Doctor, please come again. Your line was breaking.
I was saying that would you offer the Thanksgiving on our behalf, or you nominate somebody?
I'll nominate Kwame if he's around.
Oh, Charlie. Oh, Charlie.
Since he's a man of the house.
Oh,
it's only women, no?
Yes, he's the only man. He's the only man here. So, Kwame, please do that for us.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow, interesting. So on behalf of, this is for the class report, but on behalf of the entire class, we appreciate the knowledge you impacted to us this evening. We thank our doctor. It's always been very interactive, and we appreciate the fact that we have a resource person today. We hope that we will have another opportunity where we can learn more and make a lot of progress. Thank you.
Excellent.
No, that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I think that I also learned a lot from you guys and what you have on the field. And I'm available. And if you want any questions or any other documents, so like I said, I'll make all that available to Dr. Kobe Mensah. And as and when you think is necessary, you can reach out and we take it from there. Thanks so much.
Excellent. Guys, don't forget to do the survey. I don't know whether all of you have done it, the staff survey. Have you completed the survey?
No, Doc.
You haven't circulated?
I did that yesterday. I did.
But none of you have actually done the survey?
Not yet.
Yeah, you have to actually evaluate of the programs that you're in, because it's a way for us to understand how faculty is doing. It's a quality measure. So, and please be very candid in your responses, because that's the only way we can use to measure our performance and to make sure that we are providing a very good service. There's no point to please anybody, right? So,
Doctor, are we doing it for everybody? Yesterday I tried it. Are we doing it for every course?
Yeah, for every course, because the lecturers, you're evaluating the lecturers. Okay, you get it. So when you and don't forget, the level is level 600. Master is level 600. So when you select, so you do it for introduction to tourism and hospitality and tourism. You do it for a protocol. You do whatever program that you're actually registered on. You have to do them individually, including the elective courses and then the course courses as well. Are you with me? Because once you select the course, the lecturer's name comes and then you select, because we want to make sure that we can measure the performances of everyone, who's on the board, and we can use it to improve ourselves as a quality measure. So please don't forget to rate all your courses that you've registered, including the elective and the core courses as well. Yeah?
Okay, sir.
Okay, all right.
You do that.
All right.
So I just want to confirm.
Yeah.
This course, there's this food and catering management. Are we going to do it next semester?
Yeah, I think next semester, because it's always semester based. So once we finish this semester, these courses are gone. We mount the other ones for the next semester. All right. Is that okay? Do you mind?
Sure.
Yeah. Did I answer your question? Okay, excellent. All right, thank you guys. Enjoy your evening. When is the next class, Patricia, please? You know.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay. All right, thank you, Mercedes. All right, thank you guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.